Human beings often live as though actions disappear once they pass. A word is spoken, a choice is made, a habit is repeated, a duty is neglected, and because the moment has ended, people imagine the matter is over. But reality does not work in this way. In an ordered universe, nothing simply vanishes because it has moved out of sight. Causes continue forward, effects remain in motion. The action may be finished, but its consequence is still unfolding. This is one of the most important truths a person can learn. Nothing is lost. Everything returns as outcome. If God is understood as the absolute order expressed through reality, then consequence is not an occasional punishment imposed from outside life. It is built into the structure of existence itself. Reality carries everything forward. Thoughts shape decisions. Decisions shape behavior. Behavior shapes pattern. Pattern shapes outcome. What a person does, tolerates, repeats, refuses, or becomes is never isolated. It enters the system and continues to work, often long after the original act has been forgotten. This is why consequence is unavoidable. It is not always immediate, but it is always in motion. People tend to respect consequence only when it arrives dramatically. They notice the bankruptcy, but not the months or years of disorder that led to it. They notice the collapse of a relationship, but not the repeated evasions, small betrayals, and neglected truths that made collapse inevitable. They notice the body breaking down, but not the quiet accumulation of harmful habits. They notice public disgrace, but not the hidden life that was feeding it. In each case, consequence appears suddenly, only because perception is late. The outcome is visible at the end, but it was being built long before it could be seen. This is why delay is so spiritually dangerous. Delay encourages illusion. When consequence does not arrive immediately, people begin to believe they have escaped it. They mistake silence for approval. They mistake postponement for cancellation. They mistake the absence of visible judgment for the absence of judgment altogether. But delay does not mean escape. It means development. It means the cause is still ripening into its full expression. Many of the most serious consequences in life do not come at once because time itself is part of the system through which reality reveals what a thing truly is. A seed does not become a tree in a day, but that does not mean the process is not underway. Likewise, a destructive action does not always produce visible ruin at once, but the structure has already been set in motion. The lie begins reshaping trust. The indulgence begins reshaping appetite. The compromise begins reshaping character. The act is never merely the act. It is the beginning of a trajectory. And trajectories, left unchecked, become destinies. This is why the moral life cannot be reduced to dramatic sins or obvious virtue. Consequence is working in subtler ways than people like to admit. Every repeated thought has consequence because it trains perception. Every tolerated excuse has consequence because it lowers inner standards. Every act of discipline has consequence because it strengthens structure. Every act of cowardice has consequence because it teaches retreat. Nothing is neutral for long. A human being is always being shaped. The life one experiences outwardly is inseparable from what one has been building inwardly. To say that everything returns as outcome is not merely to speak about punishment, it also applies to good. Patience returns as trust. Discipline returns as capacity. Honesty returns as clarity. Restraint returns as stability. Skill returns as competence. Faithfulness returns as strength of foundation. Much of what people call luck is simply the delayed visibility of long obedience to reality. They see the result and envy it, but they did not watch the years in which it was formed. The system is not only severe, it is also deeply consistent. It returns to a person what they have been building, whether that building was wise or foolish. This principle can be unsettling because it strips away fantasy. It means that life cannot be endlessly manipulated through appearance. A person may impress others while quietly destroying themselves. They may speak in the language of values they do not live by. They may postpone accountability, conceal motive, or hide weakness under image. For a time, this may seem effective, but consequence is not fooled by performance. Reality is not persuaded by self-description. The system responds to what is actual, not to what is claimed. In this sense, consequence is one of the purest expressions of truth. It reveals what has really been happening beneath the surface. Continue reading the essay along with its accompanying mini workbook on Amazon.